Hi everyone, here's some of what's heading your way tonight. Your news at 9. Reaction to Freeman's COVID unit closing because of declining patient numbers.
Moderna begins testing a vaccine for children as public health officials warn of another potential surge in cases. I'm Steve Harrigan in Atlanta. That story ahead.
The fencing is coming down, but the National Guard troops will remain at the Capitol following the deadly riot back in January. I'm Lucas Tomlinson at the Pentagon. I'll have the details coming up.
Doug Getty has weather. Jacob Leonard has sports. This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abbey. Today, Freeman Hospital announced the closing of its medical COVID-19 unit. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky explains the reasoning behind this.
After battling the pandemic for over a year, Freeman Hospital is finally closing the doors of its medical COVID-19 unit. The last 4 patients were discharged from the unit on Monday, offering a new hope for the community. Janae Kennedy, Chief Nursing Officer at Freeman, says this is a big day.
It's a really exciting day for us. We're cautiously optimistic that we have a brighter future with COVID. We've worked really, really hard. We're happy for our nurses to have this break, to be able to focus on the areas of our community that need us the most right now.
Now the area is being cleaned so that it can become what it once was, a critical care area for any medical issue.
And we will just care for all types of patients in our critical care area. So any medical patient or critical care level of care will go to our C-zone now.
At their busiest time, they had up to 30 patients in this small unit at once. To see that number dwindle just brings a sigh of relief. Kennedy says they waited to close the unit and didn't want to act too fast.
Throughout COVID, we've really been trying to be strategic and really watching the numbers. So we've had low census on our medical COVID unit for a while now. And had more beds than we had patients, but we were really waiting until we saw those numbers sustain because we didn't want to be too quick.
Larry Bergner, Newton County Health Department Administrator, says the county's COVID-19 numbers have been decreasing and is glad to hear they are transforming the unit.
All the numbers of COVID are decreasing, which is great news. And it also opens up those beds for those routine, people that have heart surgeries or other procedures, medical procedures where they need a hospital stay or more in-depth care. Now those resources are available.
For those who had loved ones in the unit like Stephanie Stockham, hearing this news brings comfort and hope. Stockham's 83-year-old father was on a ventilator and hospitalized with the virus for 6 weeks in the medical COVID-19 unit.
Completely thankful and relieved that I feel like we can see a light at the end of the tunnel, that maybe we have some normalcy returning.
In Joplin, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Freeman's separate COVID-19 ICU remains open with only 3 patients being treated. Past year has been a unique challenge for all of us, right? Including universities like Pitt State especially. On March 13, 2020, students were sent home early for spring break because of shelter-in-place orders. A year later, the university has students back on campus. University President Steve Scott tells us it was never easy, but teamwork helped university leadership figure it all out without having to let any staff go.
Where other campuses might have had losses, we had no layoffs, no furloughs, no salary reductions. All of the faculty and staff that were with us last year, they continued to be with us, and we made every effort to keep them employed, to keep them working.
This year's spring break was moved to the end of the semester, so students are not traveling and then returning to campus, meaning coursework will end on May 7th, a week earlier than usual. Area seniors wanting a COVID-19 vaccine can head over to the Joplin Public Library tomorrow to register. The Area Agency on Aging is going to be at the library tomorrow to help seniors get registered. That runs from noon to 4 p.m. tomorrow, again at the Joplin Public Library. They do ask, of course, you wear a mask while inside the library. Moderna takes another step toward getting children vaccinated against COVID-19. This coming as health experts issue warnings about a potential surge of infections. Fox News correspondent Steve Harrigan has more.
The U.S. is another step closer to getting more children back in school. Today, Moderna announced it has given out the first shots in a pediatric coronavirus vaccine study. Children under 12 and babies as young as 6 months will participate. Pfizer is currently testing its vaccine in children ages 12 to 15, with plans to move to younger groups.
The fact that we have more science involved with this now and that we actually know how these different vaccines work, that's the reassuring part.
More than 10% of Americans have now been fully vaccinated against the coronavirus. Today, Mississippi joined Alaska in opening up vaccinations to all adults. But public health officials say vaccine hesitancy will be one of the biggest obstacles to reaching herd immunity.
The approach we would like to take, and we are taking, is to try and reach out and explain to people and ask what are the issues that make them hesitant about getting vaccinated and try to address them with good, solid scientific facts.
Meanwhile, rising COVID-19 vaccinations have given air travel a boost. The TSA says at least 1 million people have been screened every day since last Thursday as more Americans travel for spring break. But health officials remain concerned we could see a fourth surge of infections if people relax mitigation efforts.
Masking, distancing play a role here. I don't think that we can just, put our guard down completely at this point.
The CDC is still advising people to avoid travel even if fully vaccinated. In Atlanta, Steve Harrigan, Fox News.
Doug Heddy joining us now with the first look at the forecast. Beautiful day. The temperatures were great, really.
Yeah, most of us all the way up into the mid-70s for highs. Kind of chilly this morning, near 40, but 76 during the afternoon. So a very spring-like day. In fact, temperature is still pretty good. Most of us upper 50s to lower 60s, and we'll drop back into the mid-50s during the overnight hours for us tonight. The winds have picked up just a little bit, and this is going to continue as we go through the overnight hours. But right now, we just have some clouds out there. Really, it's a pretty good evening. You can see thunderstorms blowing up out to our west across the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas, and eventually these are going to make it in here late tonight. This is going to be well after midnight and then into the early morning hours, but some of these could pack a pretty good punch. So, of course, we're going to break down this forecast for you here in just a bit.
Doug, thank you. At least 8 people are dead after shootings at different spas in the Atlanta area. Authorities say at least 3 people were killed after a shooting at a massage parlor. 4 more were killed at 2 other spas. Motive is unknown at this time, and investigators are looking into whether the shootings are related. According to the Atlanta police chief, some of the victims were female and appear to be Asian. Officials say they have a 21-year-old man in custody now for these shootings. President Biden traveling to Pennsylvania today to tout the new American Rescue Plan. His administration believes it's going to help struggling families and businesses weather through this pandemic. Meanwhile, some lawmakers are beginning to strategize their next priority. Fox News correspondent Ray Bogan reports.
President Biden visited a small business in Chester, Pennsylvania to sell his newly approved American Rescue Plan to the public. It's part of a week-long cross-country tour.
100 million people are going to be getting, not a joke, a check for $1,400 which changed their lives.
Democrats are already looking forward to an infrastructure package which could be even more expensive than the $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill, which is one reason they're working so hard to build public approval.
The money goes out. It starts revitalizing our economy. People shop in the stores, eat at the restaurants, even begin to travel.
But these massive policy items need to be paid for. The White House press secretary did not deny a report the Biden administration wants to raise the corporate tax rate from 21% to 28% and increase taxes on individuals earning more than $400,000 a year.
His priority and focus has always been on people paying their fair share and also focusing on corporations that may not be paying their fair share either.
Republicans decreased the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21% during the Trump administration.
During the Obama years, what happened? Taxes got raised and they didn't get a raise.
Democrats also need the votes to pass their agenda. That's renewing debate about the Senate's filibuster.
It has become the death grip of democracy.
It's not just about controversial items. It's about everything we do.
President Biden spent 36 years in the Senate. The White House press secretary says it's his preference to keep the filibuster. Ray Bogan, Fox News.
After strong bipartisan pushback, security officials say they're soon going to be scaling back fencing that has circled the U.S. Capitol since a mob attacked the building back on January 6th. Fox News correspondent Lucas Tomlinson now from the Pentagon.
2 men are behind bars, charged with assaulting Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick during the riot on January 6th. 32-year-old Julian Cater and 39-year-old George Tenios allegedly spraying Sicknick with a non-lethal repellent. Sicknick died the next day, but his cause of death more than 2 months later is still unknown. That's why both men are charged with assault, not homicide, for now.
There is certainly a big distinction between an assault and a homicide.
Just 2 days after the arrest, Capitol officials say they'll start scaling back fencing that has circled the area since the attack, after strong bipartisan backlash to what some members describe as a war zone, with checkpoints and troops lining the perimeter fence.
What is the specific incredible threat to the Capitol complex that requires these extraordinary steps? They say that there is no specific incredible threat.
While the fences will be gone, some 2,300 National Guard troops will remain, after Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin extended the mission for another 2 months, overruling the National Guard's top general, with some lawmakers saying the extra security is needed while they work on reforming the Capitol Police.
We don't feel complete confidence in the Capitol Police. And what we need as members is a plan to get to law enforcement protecting this place, not the uniformed military.
Authorities say more than 100 people are expected to face charges as the investigation into the Capitol riot continues. At the Pentagon, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor one of our 4 state heroes. Matt Hickson served in the U.S. Army from 2001 to 2003. Native of Neosho, Missouri, Hickson was stationed in Turkey, Iraq also, earning several awards. We are proud to thank and salute Sergeant Matt Hickson. He's tonight's 4 state hero. Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast. A bit later, Pittsburgh State Gorillas hitting the field for their first practice of the spring. Going to hear from that team in sports.
Well, it definitely turned out to be a really nice day for us today. Temperature is fantastic as we went up into the mid-70s for afternoon highs, which is pretty good for this time of the year. And we had quite a bit of sunshine across the region. Great time-lapse Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. And it looks like as we go through the rest of the evening hours, we actually are shaping up pretty good. Zooming in, look at our highs. Earlier today, we really warmed up during the afternoon. Most of us into the mid-70s. And of course, the sun is set, but still, it feels pretty good. Upper 50s to lower 60s across the region. A few little clouds have been sneaking through, but in general, still we have pretty much clear skies. Clouds will start to increase tonight. Here's our next storm system starting to develop. You can see the main wave right about Albuquerque, New Mexico. And this is a strong little system that is heading in our direction as we go through about the next 24 hours. But already, a severe thunderstorm watch out south of Wichita, Oklahoma City, and then out through the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas. And thunderstorms have started getting going. These are mainly going to be wind and hail makers as they head in our direction. And the strongest ones are going to stay mainly off to our west. But let's go through time. All right, for us tonight, not a whole lot of action until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. We'll start to get scattered thunderstorms, especially on the Kansas side, and then a big batch of thunderstorms will head through the entire region late tonight into tomorrow morning. So here's 6 a.m. Let's go through the morning hours. Most of these storms are going to start moving out by 9 or 10 a.m., and then we'll get a break as we head into late morning hours. So any severe weather tonight, again, mainly on the Kansas and the Oklahoma side, from midnight till about 7 a.m. Main threats here are going to be hail and wind. I think our tornado threat is low. So once we get that little bit of a break, a little bit of sunshine pops out. So here's 2:30 tomorrow afternoon. Scattered thunderstorms again start to pop up. Majority of these are going to be on the Missouri side, and they're going to pack a pretty good punch. But you can see on north of I-44, you got a north wind, or the blue arrows. South of I-44, you got the south wind, the red arrows. So right in the middle there, that's our cold front. So we'll get these strong to possibly severe storms popping up again late tomorrow afternoon. 55 to start, 64 by noon. High temp right around 68. As we go through the evening hours, the colder air works in, then we just go over to rain. So it's just going to be showers tomorrow night. Could even mix with a few flakes of snow as we head into Thursday morning, and then by Thursday afternoon, we look pretty good. It's just going to be much colder as we only go into the mid-40s for highs. So severe threat tomorrow afternoon, you can see, is mainly on the Missouri side. This is from noon until about 4 p.m. I think after about 4 p.m., our severe threat will drop. 68 tomorrow, 45 on Thursday, 55 on Friday. We do return back into the 60s by the time we head into the weekend.
Snow.
A little bit. I mean, yeah, a little bit mixing in. Kind of crazy.
It is crazy. All right, we'll see you in a little bit. Thanks so much, Doug. Coming up, going to visit Florida, where some places there are rewarding spring breakers for not breaking safety precautions. Spring break in full force in the Sunshine State, but some cities are taking different approaches to coronavirus restrictions as visitors flock to the state. Fox Business Network's Ashley Webster reporting from Clearwater, where they're welcoming tourists with certain safety precautions in place.
It was 1 year ago that Clearwater Beach here in Florida shut down as the pandemic hit. Here we are 1 year later, and the people are returning, not to pre-pandemic levels, but nevertheless, they are here. There are safety rules, though, that you have to live by if you want to enjoy it. You can go on the beach without a mask, but if you go into business, masks are mandatory. You have to keep that social distance of 6 feet. They are asking people to wash their hands as frequently as possible, and no alcohol, no booze on the beach. But as you can see, the crowds are here for spring break, most of them from local high schools, but again, for businesses, they just need to see income returning. Restaurants and bars are fully open in the area. Nightclubs are open. There is no curfew here in St. Petersburg, Clearwater, unlike in Miami Beach, where they've had problems with that midnight curfew. And guess what? If you behave, there are roving teams handing out $25 gift cards for people to be rewarded for that good behavior. I spoke to the general manager of Pier 60 on Clearwater Beach, an iconic landmark, and she says, yes, it's encouraging to see these people, but they still have a ways to go. Take a listen.
It is so encouraging to see things opening up and families coming out and visiting again, and to have them come out and have that little slice of normalcy in life. Mm-hmm. We love to have our visitors. Everyone is doing really well with the distancing, like you said. The cabanas are separated. They're working really hard to keep it that way.
Also encouraging is the hotel capacity rate, running between 70 and 80% in the Clearwater Beach area. That's pretty good. It's not pre-pandemic levels, but nevertheless a sign of hope to come. And for the businesses, the best side of all are people and the cash registers ringing. In Clearwater, Florida, Ashley Webster, Fox News.
Just ahead, a rare find.
Archaeologists unearth rare biblical text. I'm Trey Yingst in Jerusalem. How they unearthed the 2,000-year-old artifacts, coming up.
Archaeological experts revealing some incredible finds discovered in caves near the Dead Sea. Among the treasures, fragments of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Fox News correspondent Trey Yingst is in Jerusalem with these details.
An incredible discovery. Israeli archaeologists unearthed fragments of the Dead Sea Scrolls, dating back almost 2,000 years. An unprecedented survey of nearly 50 miles of cliffside desert caves near the Dead Sea led archaeologists to the so-called Cave of Horrors and the roughly 80 new pieces of biblical text.
We found one fragment from the book of Zechariah, chapter 8, verses 16 to 17. We also found another small fragment from the book of Nahum.
The fragments, likely hidden during a Jewish revolt against Rome, match a scroll discovered almost 60 years ago, the last time a discovery of this magnitude was made. This collection sheds light on Jewish culture and religion before and after the time of Jesus.
These are new pieces of the puzzle, and we can add them to our greater picture of the period and of the text. And even though these pieces are small, they did give us some new information that we did not know before.
These were not the only treasure tucked inside the cave. Archaeologists also dug out ancient coins, a 6,000-year-old partially mummified child's skeleton, and a woven basket dating back more than 10,000 years.
As far as we know, this is the biggest and oldest intact basket in Israel, maybe in the world.
The search for these remarkable findings spurred on by a push to get these ancient artifacts before antiquities robbers. In Jerusalem, Trey Yingst, Fox News.
Amazing. All right, otters seem to bring out the best in everyone, right? Coming up, how this otter will forever be connected to Nintendo. More than 18,000 votes were cast, and the winner is Pascal. Look at that little guy. That's the name this otter has been given. The Brookfield Zoo over in Chicago held a contest named the otter. The winner, Pascal, is also the name of a character in the video game Animal Crossing. There you go. Zoo workers are raising Pascal by hand because his mother couldn't provide the proper nourishment. Pascal will soon be back with his parents, Charlotte and Benny, once he's fully weaned. That's awesome. Look at that little guy, Pascal. Again, otters have magic. You having a bad day? Just look at otters. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming your way.
Kansas Governor Laura Kelly announces the state will be moving into phases 3 and 4 of the vaccination plan starting next week. I'm Chris Warner with how health officials in southeast Kansas feel about the move.
The White House continues to play defense as the number of migrant unaccompanied minors and family units surge across the southern border. I'm Casey Stiegel in Alamo, Texas. We've got that story coming up.
Kansas Governor Laura Kelly announced yesterday the state is going to move into phases 3 and 4 of the vaccination plan starting next week. KOAM's Chris Warner spoke with officials in Crawford and Bourbon counties about the plan, and Chris has more.
With the governor's announcement combining phases 3 and 4 and the state entering them next week, local health officials were excited.
We think it is time to move forward, and we're so excited that the governor decided to. We felt like we were coming to the end of phase 2.
I think we are ready, and we've been ready. I think the whole state is ready. We have been getting lots of calls in the county and then also in other counties across the state.
However, it presents a challenge to the Crawford County Commissioners. On March 5th, the commission rescinded their health order, removing some business restrictions. The commission also decided at that time to keep the county-wide mask mandate in place until the state entered phase 4.
Our health officers had discussed waiting until the completion of the third phase, since at this point, I don't think we're in a spot that would make sense to do that.
The combined phases means there won't be a completion to phase 3 ahead of phase 4, and Commissioner Jeremy Johnson says on advice from health officials, they're going to keep the mask mandate in place for now.
We do not want to rush that process. I want to make sure that we are truly in a place of safety before we're saying we're going to take out all of the safety precautions that we have in place.
The Southeast Kansas Multi-County Health Department, which encompasses Allen, Anderson, Bourbon, and Woodson counties, held a vaccine clinic in Bourbon County on Tuesday, vaccinating those eligible under Phase 3 ahead of schedule. But Administrator Rebecca Johnson says there's a good reason.
We weren't seeing the people or the numbers that we had hoped to see, and we had vaccine ready, so we wanted to open that up if we had people wanting the vaccine so it wouldn't go to waste.
In Crawford and Bourbon counties, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
Phases 3 and 4 in Kansas include everyone with any medical risks, not just severe ones, ages 16 to 64. Also, all critical workers like agriculture and food workers, utilities workers, social services and government, and several others for that matter. For the latest news and resources related to the COVID-19 vaccine, head on over to our website. See it right there, KOAMnewsnow.com/vaccine. On that same page, you can find a form that you can fill out to send us your questions about COVID-19 itself, vaccine distribution. Again, that's KOAMnewsnow.com/vaccine. BMX riders and skateboarders came together tonight at Joplin's Ewart Park. Free Wheel Ministry Organization and Danny Simpson, a Joplin resident, host bike nights at the park every week. And this week, goodness, a member of the Stunt Dudes organization brought an airbag ramp so riders can take their moves to the next level. That's awesome. Well, 2020 seeing a 60% surge of imported handguns and long guns here in the United States. The U.S. imported 6.4 million handguns and long guns last year. That's compared to just 4 million back in 2019. Surge of imports supplying more than a quarter of the nation's increasing demand for firearms overall. Around 23 million firearms were sold to Americans in 2020, with more than 8 million of those being first-time buyers. More than 9,000 migrant children crossed the southern border without their parents last month, leading to new fears of growing humanitarian crisis along the Rio Grande. Fox News correspondent Casey Stiegel has more from Alamo, Texas.
The surge here at the southern border is intensifying, with Homeland Security now saying we are on track to encounter more migrants than in the last 20 years. The Biden administration is defending its extension of a Trump-era policy expelling single adults and families, citing the ongoing COVID pandemic. But it's also allowing unaccompanied minors to stay in the U.S. And now the administration is being forced to get creative as housing gets scarce, converting the Dallas Convention Center now into a temporary shelter for migrant teens.
Now we've got 3,000 people in a convention center in Dallas all packed in there.
We don't know what their condition is, their health status.
The administration also being criticized by some Democrats for holding the children longer than the 72 hours allowed under the law. But they say they're doing their best to find space in shelters run by Health and Human Services.
We want to expedite getting these kids out of these CBP facilities and into shelters as quickly as possible, then into sponsored homes.
Agents say they're also encountering large groups of migrants traveling together, hoping the mini caravans will offer some protection from criminals as they make their way north.
It is very difficult, especially when you run out of money. We brought money with us, but they rob you.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection officials say the number of unaccompanied minors crossing the border illegally has gone up some 60% in just the last month. That's the latest from Alamo, Texas, at the U.S.-Mexico border. Casey Stiegel, Fox News.
A bit later, vaccine waste.
As millions await their chance to get vaccinated against COVID-19, health authorities are concerned thousands of doses are being wasted. I'm Jackie Ibanez with more on why vials are winding up in dumpsters instead of arms. Straight ahead.
Well, it turned out to be a great Tuesday for us today. Temperature is fantastic. Most of us mid-70s during the afternoon hours and plenty of sunshine as well. Plus, it wasn't too windy across the region. Great time lapse. This is Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, of course, Indigo. Just outside of Seneca, Missouri. Looks good. Great time lapse. A few little clouds sneaking in late in the day. But look at our temps. We had a nice southerly wind, which really kicked in late in the day. And then our temps went into the mid-70s, and we haven't dropped off that much. Most of us upper 50s to lower 60s across the region. A few little clouds have been increasing over the past couple hours, but our main storm system is really developing back toward the south and to the west. You can see the little spin right across New Mexico. So ahead of it, showers, thunderstorms across the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas, and that's why you see a severe thunderstorm wash through Oklahoma all the way into south central parts of Kansas. So let's go through time. We're fine for the next several hours. After midnight, we'll start to get some scattered storms in southeastern Kansas, probably not too strong. Late tonight, 4, 5, 6 a.m., it could get a little bit loud. We'll have scattered showers and thunderstorms which push into the area. Some of these could be strong, maybe even low-grade severe, so the main threat here would be gusty winds and some large hail. So this is 7, 8, 9 in the morning, and then they're gone, and we get a little bit of a break. So severe threat with this first round. This is mainly 4, 5, 6, 7 a.m. Mainly on the Kansas and the Oklahoma side. Again, I'll keep all the threats on the low side. Second band. Let's go into early afternoon. Look how a little bit of sunshine pops out. Now, if you live in Yates Center over to Fort Scott, Nevada, Parsons, Independence, Chanute, you probably don't have a severe threat tomorrow. It's going to be a little bit farther south, right along the front. Scattered showers and thunderstorms pop up early and mid-afternoon, mainly on the Missouri side, but some of these, again, could be strong to low-grade severe. And then once we get to about 7:30 here, you can see everybody switches to a northerly wind. That means the front passes through and our severe threat ends. 55 to start, 64 by noon, high temp of 68 during the afternoon. By tomorrow night, we just go over to kind of a cold rain. We drop back through the 40s into the upper 30s. Look at a little bit of blue mixing in. That is some light snow, kind of a rain-snow mix to start the day on Thursday, and then we'll end the day chilly, but partly sunny skies. So severe threat for tomorrow afternoon. Again, the best chance, southwestern Missouri. I'll keep most of the threats low, maybe elevate the hail, but still something we want to watch over the next 24 hours. 68 for us tomorrow. They're much colder by Thursday, a high temp of only 45. On top of that, we got all this rain over the past week. We got a break yesterday, but a lot of areas are going to pick up 1, 2, maybe isolated 3-inch amounts out of this next little system. We do dry out and clear out and actually look pretty good as we head into the weekend.
Like you were saying, tomorrow's a good day to be aware of what's all going on.
Yeah, especially about 1 p.m. until about 5 p.m.
Doug Heddy, thank you. All right, coming up in sports, spring practice number 1 for Pitt State football. Plus, the Bats come alive for Pitt State softball in their MIAA opener against Emporia State. Jay Blanchard is up next with highlights.
Well, today is the opening day of spring practice for Pitt State football. PSU gets 15 practices in the next month, with the spring game coming on April 3rd. Now, for head coach Brian Wright and the Gorillas, this afternoon is the first step in what they hope is a successful season and a return to a normal schedule. After an up-and-down 2020, the Pittsburgh State Gorillas are finally back on schedule.
Feels good to put together a schedule and be able to follow a calendar, and when it says day one of practice, we're out here doing it.
The Gorillas hit the field Tuesday for their first spring practice of the season.
Oh man, we brought a lot of energy. We do every day, but it just, it never ceases to amaze me how hungry this team is and how much we really enjoy getting to grind and practice and just be around each other every day.
Pitt State played 4 games last fall. They went 2-2 in their first action under head coach Brian Wright.
Having those 4 games really benefited us in the fact that we got to see how those coaches operate on a game week, and we also got to see how they operate on a game day.
We got to find out a lot about our football team, and it allows us something to build off of and go to work towards.
The Gorillas are ready for a full schedule.
Having a shortened season, we kind of still left the season a little bit hungry.
But before they get to fall, this spring is about getting better and staying healthy.
We got to learn how to play really fast, really tough, and really smart at the same time. And so we've made it a focal point for us this spring because we got to compete like crazy, and we got to work really hard, but we also got to take care of each other and be smart.
We're going to be solid. We're going to be fast, and I can't wait to see what we do in a full season.
Pitt State's season opener is scheduled for September 2nd on the road against Central Missouri. Well, Pittsburgh State softball is at home for a doubleheader against Emporia State. For the Gorillas, it's their first MIAA doubleheader of the season. Now, PSU looking to get rolling after a week off. At the bottom of the first inning, Kylie Bull gets the jack to left center. Gorillas lead 1-0 after 1. Top of the second, grounder goes to the right side. Cammie Zimmerman gets the tag. Emporia still scoreless. Top of the third now, pop fly out to left. This one strands runners on second and third. Game is still 1-0. Now, bottom of the frame, Corey Stonestreet. Shortstop can't handle it there. She would steal on the next play. Stonestreet there at second, waiting for Paxton Hayes. She could just trot home because Hayes, 2-run homer to center. Stonestreet comes home. Pitt State gets past Emporia State in game 1, 5-0. Game 2, Gorillas trying for the sweep. It was tied at 3 at one point, but the Gorillas get the final 3 of the game to win it 6-3. Pitt State will be back in action this weekend with a road doubleheader against Newman on Saturday and a home doubleheader with Washburn on Sunday. That's it for sports. We're back after this.
The White House is confident efforts to help end this pandemic are still going strong, but as millions await their chance to get vaccinated, thousands of shots may never get used. Fox News correspondent Jackie Ibanez has more on what's causing vaccine waste and why officials say it's normal.
We're just days away from 100 million shots and millions in the arms of millions of Americans.
President Biden says millions of shots are going into people's arms, but health authorities say many shots could be heading for dumpsters instead. According to the World Health Organization, it's normal for doses of any vaccine to be thrown away. Officials say millions of flu shots are discarded every year, and global vaccination efforts for previous viruses saw at least half of the doses labeled as wasted. Reasons for the waste are vast and include everything from doses naturally expiring to medical workers accidentally throwing them away to vials not being properly stored. Currently, the exact number of wasted coronavirus vaccines is unknown, as more states are busy collecting this data. But so far, it seems as though more COVID-19 shots are being administered than trashed. In states like Tennessee, local officials are looking into ways they can improve vaccine distribution in an effort to minimize waste. This after more than 4,000 doses were reported damaged last month. In the meantime, if you're eligible to get vaccinated, doctors say don't be picky.
The best thing to do is get that vaccine when it's your turn, be ready. And absolutely don't wait for, I want vaccine A if you're offered vaccine B. Take vaccine B.
The White House says the vaccine rollout is only intensifying with an average of 2.4 million shots administered each day across the country. Jackie Ibanez, Fox News.
Going to end the night with a look at a new Netflix series, a dark supernatural twist on the classic Sherlock Holmes tale. Adventure 10 star Luke Newton sharing good news. Irish rockers U2 announced an online concert series. We got more news for you. Fox's Ashley Dvorkin has the latest in the Hollywood Nation.
Some strange things have been happening recently.
The Irregulars investigate, U2 revisits the past, and a new social season is underway in the Hollywood Nation.
This is what they have been trained for since birth.
The Bridgerton family is back in action. Netflix's hit Regency-era period drama has started filming the second season. Actor Luke Newton shared behind-the-scenes photos and a video of himself working alongside co-star Jonathan Bailey, who plays his brother on the show. The new season will focus on Bailey's character, Lord Anthony Bridgerton's love life. Irish rockers U2 are taking a walk down memory lane. The band will share their most legendary performances in the 4-part concert series, The Virtual Road, kicking off St. Patrick's Day on their YouTube channel. It will roll out over the next 4 weeks, featuring shows they played at Ireland's Slane Castle in 2001, Red Rocks Amphitheater in Colorado in 1983, as well as their performances in Mexico City in 1997 and in Paris in 2015. Each show will be viewable for just 48 hours.
Your sister has a gift.
And Netflix shares the first full trailer to its upcoming new series, The Irregulars. It puts a dark supernatural twist on the classic Sherlock Holmes tale. Set in 19th century London, the show centers on a gang of troubled street teens hired by the sinister Dr. Watson and his business partner Sherlock Holmes to investigate supernatural threats around the city. It will be available to stream March 26th.
So long as we can fight, we fight.
In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
The sinister Dr. Watson. That's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you with video of lions playing in the snow at Denver Zoo. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.